Adlerford, nice to meet you.
Willem Visser. Go ahead, take a seat.
Thank you, sir. What's with this warehouse office here?
L'Oreal's corporate building is being expanded, so they temporarily removed me from my office and put me here. Many people like you come in for an interview. When they get hired, they need an office. We've had an incredible growth rate in this quarter.
Sorry, I have to ask, are you wearing a Valentino Couture suit?
Yes, actually I am. I've had it for a while. It's one of the classic designs.
Very nice. I have 5 of them at home. Expensive buy, but my father insists on collecting them. And those are his crown jewels.
Interesting. I have one of the prototype designs hand-tailored by Fonda himself. It's bone white with gold accents. Very rare. Only 3 made. I'm lucky to have known the family personally.
Impressive.
But don't go thinking you're the worst dressed person to ever show up at one of my interviews. Well, I was supposed to meet this guy, I can't remember his name, about a position in marketing. He shows up with this long, disgusting hair, wearing a robe, sunglasses, and flip-flops. As soon as I caught a glimpse of him, I signaled security to come in. He starts yelling some junk about oppression and freedom. All that anarchist junk. I got my justice, though. As they were dragging him out, I said to him, "Cut your hair, get your clothes on, get a job like the rest of us, you bum!" Last I ever saw of one of those guys, I think security finally caught on. We don't hire hippies here at Norielis.
No, sir.
Here we are. Adler Ford, blonde hair, brown eyes. 17 years old, graduated from California Institute of Technology. Magna cum laude. Wow.
All thanks to the neural chip. Increases learning speed by 40%.
Well, I can see that, yeah. Bevier really is a genius.
Leon Bevier, genius, inventor, CEO, president. I mean, what isn't he?
Yeah. You graduated with a PhD in automatic machine surveil and maintenance, is that correct?
Yes, sir. I took one of those specialized courses to get straight into Neo-Realis. If only it were guaranteed hire.
Well, it used to be. But after the instructor shortage, leading to students learning jack in school in the information crisis of 2035, Bevier had to take more extensive measures to ensure employee competence and loyalty.
Information crisis?
Yeah, they kept pretty tight wraps on it for a while, but I don't think Bevier will mind if I tell you. A few of his closest employees ended up stealing core lines of code, schematics, and new inventions and other confidential information and spiriting it off to foreign companies and anarchist groups in hopes of toppling Bevier's empire. Luckily, he had recently gained control of the military and police force, so he could purge the stolen ideas from the minds of the world.
Strange how ungrateful people are of Bevier. He feeds you, clothes you, gives you shelter, gives you the technology that improves your life significantly. What more must you ask? Promises of old world freedoms and liberties that never existed and can't exist really.
Well, before we jump into the interview questions, I'd like to know more about you.
I was born on April 19, 2027. I lived in a suite in apartment block 87 on West 31st Street in Arcaton before I moved to LA.
Oh, one of Bevier's cities. How long did your parents live there before you were born?
Well, they are big fans of Bevier. They always have been. So when they heard he was building a city, they jumped at the opportunity to live there. When I was growing up, I was surrounded by technology. It pretty much raised me whenever my parents didn't want to. All of it from Bevier, of course. I look up to him almost like a father. He was a great inspiration to me. I worshipped him as a god, as silly as it sounds. I remember some kids would always make fun of him and doubt him. But I'd defend him to the bitter end. I always dreamed of working for him.
Well, here's your chance for it. Don't blow it. How about we start the interview?
Shoot.
I'll be catering my questions to you and the job you want to hold. How do you deal with stressful situations?
I believe it's essential to stay calm and measured, to keep a cool head.
Okay.
You want to avoid panic because when you panic, you look weak and unprepared. I've practiced my reaction to stress to avoid something like that. I've gained the control of my mind, mastered the ability to stay calm, calculated, cool.
That's good, but I don't think it makes you weak or incompetent. I mean, it's natural to feel stress. It's built into our brain, and sometimes it can save our asses. That bliss state you enter when you know you're totally screwed, the clearness is more effective than calm thinking clearness. It lets you focus with pinpoint accuracy on what you need to do to survive.
Well, of course, natural stress is good, but I can control it when I need to.
Sure. How do you see the world?
Land fresh for development, every animal built infrastructure to some capacity. We, as an all-dominant species, can make whatever we dream of, and it's our right to do so.
Well, that's getting tougher now. We're almost out of land, and underwater civilization is still in the early stages of development. Space is an option, but only for colonization, not capitalization.
Yet.
Yes, yet not now. What would your plan be for now?
Clear some land. People don't need it. How many monuments and historical structures do we even need? Not to mention the gross overpopulation. We're due for some spring cleaning here.
So you're an advocate for genocide, reconstruction, and you're against the preservation of history?
I never said I was a genocidal maniac. We don't have to kill people, but maybe find more efficient means of housing and city planning. For that, Neo-Realis would need to be worldwide.
Are you going to bring Neo-Realis worldwide?
Of course.
That's what I want to hear. Opinions on art?
That's a good one. It's a rare good artist comes along and makes a really meaningful piece. But when the genius is put in front of the canvas, what follows is true art. I'm partial to the Sistine Chapel, all those intricate parts working together to create something beautiful. And what's make classical music beautiful? The small details intertwine to make something larger than life. It's like Neo-Realis. Each person has their part in a sort of civilization in its own right that, when operated properly, will lead to a prosperous future.
Very interesting. So how do you like your steak cooked?
Are you kidding me? You asked me my opinion on art, you follow that with how I like my steak cooked?
I have my reasons, Mr. Ford.
All right, I like medium rare. You can call me a sheep, but there's a reason the term wisdom of the crowd exists. What about you?
I prefer well done. That way I know exactly what I'm biting into every time. You have a pet that died?
Yes, when I was 14, my dog died. Been with me since I was born.
How did you feel when it passed?
I felt a little sad when he died, but I don't get too attached to things.
Why do you think that is?
No clue.
All right. Do you like routine, Ford? The repeating of the same process every day?
I don't mind it. It gives me a sense of stability.
Well, that's odd. From ages 13 to 15, you seem quite rebellious against routine and the monotony of everyday life.
How did you know that?
We have our ways.
Everyone had a rebellious phase. So what?
Not me.
No offense, sir, but you seem a little out of the ordinary.
Well, that concludes the base questions.
How did I do?
I'm sorry, Ford, but I can't tell you yet.
Of course.
Now, we're not finished with the interview. I still have the Richter von Lieben test to administer. But before we do that, would you like some water?
Yes, please. That would be great. Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Well, I was wondering how you got into this business. Did you have to go through this yourself?
No, I didn't. I was hired in 36. I was in the police force prior, before Bevier bought us out. I remember when they caught Miller, one of the people involved in the information crisis. They brought him into my station that day in Albuquerque. Leanne walked in there and looked at me and said, "Drag this man through the ninth circle of hell. Get medieval if you have to. Don't stop until he tells you everything." And I mean everything. When he walked out, it was like we'd awoken from a spiritual journey. We were all stunned, like we'd seen God. And when God tells you to do something, you do it. Leon had us bring him to one of his own interrogation facilities. I sat up there in the watchtower rooms looking down on Miller strapped to that chair, taser pads attached to multiple points on his body. It was the longest 3 hours he'd ever experienced, but with little pushback, he told us all we needed. I guess I did a good job because Leon asked me if I wanted to work for him, and of course I said yes. He had me implement a few of our own tactics from the interrogation into the interview process. He called it a warning to me, and to whoever I hired, that if we repeat Miller's grand mistake, we'll know what would happen to us after that. Let's begin the Richter von Lieben test. March 19, 2044, Adler Ford, the Richter von Lieben test. This test contains a series of questions that will assess your morals and decision-making. Your vitals are being wirelessly monitored and fed to a lie detector. Do not attempt to lie on this test. Are you ready to begin?
Yes.
Question 1. You live in a very routine life. You always have. Every day you wake up and repeat the same routine you have your entire life. Minor changes are made in your routine, such as the transferal from the education system to the workforce at 18, or the appointment of a wife and 2 children at 25, but these changes are few and far between. Your life is stable and planned. One day a strange man grabs you and pulls you into the alleyway on your way to work. This man is a member of a group of revolutionists promising to break you free from your monotonous life. The man makes you an offer. Join them and experience life as it is meant to be, with plentiful freedoms and seldom routine. If you accept the man's offer, he will bring you to the real world. However, your wife and kids will be punished for your treason, and if you ever wish to come back to security and safety, you will be denied. Do you accept the man's offer or continue your life as usual?
How would my family be punished?
Life in a labor prison, working to repay to society that which you refuse to give.
What is the real world like?
No one knows.
I'm going to continue with my life as usual. It's too big of a toll for an uncertain prize. I value security in my life as well. I don't know how I would survive without any guaranteed safety.
Question 2. You're a very hard worker. You show up on time every day and put in your utmost effort. You've never even used a sick day. A model employee. Payday rolls around and pay stubs are issued. When you receive your pay stub, you notice that the check is marked $2,000 higher than usual. This is strange to you, and you think to yourself, you weren't given a raise, nor a promotion from your department chief. You calculate the numbers on the stub, piecing together where each penny came from. Sure enough, there's a $2,000 mistake that has been made. This money does not belong to you. But a little extra money couldn't hurt. Buy the expensive nutrient-rich food from the market, or maybe a new coffee table to accent the design of your apartment. But do you know the money isn't yours? Do you spend the extra money or notify the department chief for this discrepancy?
It's a lot of extra money. Am I sure it's a fluke? Maybe they're giving me $200 unmarked.
So it's not taxed. Or maybe they just forgot to put it on the stub.
Without a shadow of a doubt, this is a mistake.
What would happen if I was caught?
It isn't a 100% chance you will get caught, but there is a risk. If you were to be caught, you would immediately be removed from the place of residence, interrogated, and from there, a judge would decide a fitting punishment.
That's a tough one. On one hand, money is money. On the other, I'm not too partial to being in jail. I'll try to convince the department chief to let me keep the money. If he refuses, I'll return the money.
Question 3. You're in a market. The market is packed and bustling. It's hard to spot things in the crowd. You're being pushed around by the current of human movement. You find a brief opening and jump out of the crowd into an empty aisle. At the end of the aisle, you see a woman stuffing her coat with food. She is stealing from the store. You confront the woman and ask her why she's stealing. She starts profusely apologizing and begins to cry. She explains to you that she can't afford to feed her family. They haven't eaten in days. Noriella's store security notices you and the woman as they patrol the crowd. Confused, they walk up to you and ask you what is happening. Do you let the woman steal the food to feed her family by lying to the officers, or do you tell the officers the truth?
Can I buy food for her?
You know the rules, Ford. Food can only be purchased by the individual who consume it. It's a tough rule, but it's a widely accepted substitute for rationing.
Rules can be broken.
Do you truly believe that?
No. She needs help. Why can't I help her?
If she wants to eat, she needs to find a job like you have. People cannot be coddled by others. They must be independent.
Can there please just be one exception?
No, Ford.
I tell the officers the truth. The woman is stealing from the store.
Final question, Ford. You and your closest friend, whom you know since birth, are driving down a summer road steeped in rain. The sun sets on a joyous day for the both of you. You're driving the car and you start to speed up, enjoying the adrenaline. In your state of bliss, you don't realize that the car has lost its grip on the road. The car drifts off the road and crashes into a boulder, causing the engine to explode, and lights the car on fire. You and your friend are still alive, though your friend is barely conscious. He cannot save himself, and you only have enough energy to save one of you. Do you save yourself, or do you save your friend?
No. No. You can't do this. I didn't want to let him die. I didn't mean to crash the car. God! Dad!
You need to answer the question, Ford.
I'll answer your question. You know what? This time I'll save him. I'm not gonna let him die. It's gonna be me who dies, not him. I save him.
This concludes the Richter von Lieben test. Adler Ford, conducted by William Wieser. The interview is over, Ford. Please step into the waiting room as a decision is made. The doors are unlocked now. You're about to be hired, boy. Come with me. This is the branding process. Please take a seat. Don't worry too much. We don't use the barbaric method that uses fire and a hot poker. No. Bevier developed a special instrument for this procedure. A rod with a symbol at the end made of a conducting material. Have you ever seen the aftermath of a lightning strike on a human, Ford?
No, sir.
Well, it leaves a lightning pattern imprint on a person's body. The same principle is used in this method of branding. A powerful electric current is shot through the symbol at the end of the rod into your skin. It takes about 5 seconds until the symbol is fully imprinted, and about 30 seconds for the pain to subside. A much quicker recovery compared to traditional branding. While they're strapping you in, you'll give your pledge to Noriella's. Repeat after me, Ford. I, Adler Ford, pledge my life and purpose to Leon, Bevier, and Noriella's.
Pledge my life and purpose to Leon Bevier and Neorealis.
My loyal...
I don't want to do this. Stop!
Please don't interrupt the pledge, Ford. My loyalty lies with Bevier, and I will never betray him.
My loyalty lies with Bevier, and I will never betray him.
For life, I will serve him until he breathes his last breath.
For life, I will serve him until he breathes his last breath.
Dominus meus.
Dominus meus.
good to go. Congratulations, Ford. You're now an official employee of Nori Ellis. Oops, forgot to put on the music.